Hey guys, it's Katie, and I'm here today to do my October wrap up and my November TBR. So, October ended up being a very, very rough month in a lot of ways. I was originally planning on reading like 5 or 6 books, and I only ended up reading like three and a half or so. Technically, yeah, almost three, and then a little bit, because I'm still technically in the middle of one. I'm hoping to finish it up before the end of October, because on the day that I'm filming this, October is still happening. But I read, as I said, a couple of books. I'm glad I even managed to get through a couple of things because my month was just rough. I had a lot of school things going on and a lot of family things going on, and then my mental health just kind of went down the drain for a couple of weeks, and I'm only now starting to kind of get my life back in order. So, yeah, it was just a rough time. So, I mean, I took a little bit of a break from reading because I just couldn't. It was not cutting it for what I needed at the time. So, I literally marathoned and watched all of BBC Merlin in its entirety for the entire, like, in like 2 weeks. So that was a good time. And before you ask, yes, I knew Merlin existed before I watched the show, and I've read a lot of the myths and the different adaptations over the years, but I just hadn't had a chance to watch the show yet. A lot of it was due to stupid hang-ups of my own. But after I finished the show, then I reading a little bit of fanfic because I was just in need of light, fun, cutesy things, and fanfic, at least the fanfic that I like to read, to fall into that category. And so I just had a really, really good time doing that. And then I was finally able to pull myself out, and I tried to do a readathon, and that didn't work. I tried to do the jackathon. You guys can see my vlog. I will link it up above. I did manage to get through a few things anyway, and so just despite the place that I was in October, I'm glad I got through the things that I did. So after that longish introduction, I am going to tell you about the things that I read in October. The first thing I read and finished in October was The Color of Magic by Terry Pratchett. And the first book in the Discworld series, depending on how you're going to read it. I'm reading it in publication order, which I know might not be the best order, but that's just kind of how I'm doing it. And I liked it. It was kind of interesting because it was a parody on a lot of really well-known fantasy tropes and fantasy plots. And so it was like really amusing, but the plot was also like weird. So I had very mixed feelings about the overall book. I enjoyed it enough, but it was like really trippy, and it's kind of hard to explain what exactly happened. But basically, the little gist that I can give you is it follows a wizard named Rincewind, and he encounters a tourist named Twoflower, and they go on all of these crazy adventures together. That's basically what happens. As I said, it was interesting. I really liked the parody and a lot of the like weird puns that were going on, but it was definitely not my favorite book. It's just weird. I enjoyed it for what it was, but definitely not the best book I read this month. And next I read Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury, and I loved that book. For those of you who don't know what that book is about, it follows a man named Guy Montag, and he is what is known as a firefighter. They live in this dystopian society where books are banned, and basically what these firefighters do is when they hear about books at a house, or someone who has a lot of books or whatever, they go to that house and they burn the books and then they burn the house. They just, that's just the little gist of it. But there's more to it in that Guy is a very, very tormented character, and that he kind of gets his taste whetted a little bit by one of his neighbors about books again. And then he starts going through this turmoil of wanting to find out more about books and wondering whether or not what he's doing is right or not. And so it's all about his inner turmoil and his journey, and ultimately kind of his decision-making process, and just getting out of this life that he just doesn't really seem to enjoy. It was a very, very thought-provoking read. It was very interesting, and I really, really enjoyed it. I know it's a pretty polarizing book. You either love it or you hate it. I tend to fall more into the really, really enjoyed it category, because I just loved how it made me think. I loved the writing. I just love Ray Bradbury's writing. I've read a couple of his shorter works before, and I really liked those as well. And I just thought it was an overall fascinating and really interesting book. Now, third, I am currently in the middle of Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, and I'm really enjoying it, actually. Those of you who don't know what Frankenstein is about, it follows this young man named Victor Frankenstein, and his journey when he is at university. He ultimately creates this monster in this frenzy, I guess you can say. He was just really interested in all this science and all this learning, that he was just consumed by this knowledge and this desire to create something. And he creates this monster, and this monster, once he comes to life, it's just watching Victor come to terms and realize what he's created and see the consequences of what this creation is and what it is capable of. And I'm really enjoying it because it's fascinating. It's a fascinating character study. The writing is gorgeous, first of all. Second of all, Mary Shelley was 18 when she wrote it. Like, I can't even wrap my head around being 18 and writing something like that. And third, just the character study that is done, particularly of Victor, and also just comparing the monster and Victor together. I know it's probably been done ad nauseum, but figuring out which one of them is the monster, and just doing an analysis of the psyche, and I don't know, it's just so interesting and so fascinating to me. And I'm not finished with it yet. I'm really, really enjoying it. And I will let you guys know a little bit more in my vlog, which will be going up or will have already gone up, depending on how this all works out. And there will be like a lot of like mini reviews in there about all the things that I've read in the last couple of weeks. And then fourth, I started The Handmaid's Tale, but I haven't gotten super far. It's just because of my mindset that I've been dealing with this month. I've been pacing myself with that book, and I'm hoping to finish it by the end of November if I possibly can. But it's a book that's taking a lot out of me. I'm enjoying it as much as you can enjoy a book like that, but I'm also just taking my time with it because of the topic and everything. But basically, once again, it's another dystopian society where women are, in this specific town, are turned into what are called handmaids, and basically their sole purpose, the little that I've gotten at this point, is to be handmaid, or to basically breed and have children for these wealthy, powerful men. I guess, kind of. There's probably a lot more to it than that. I'm not very far in But there's a lot of governmental rape and a lot of just anti-feminist views in the book. And I mean, it's very interesting, especially comparing what's in the book to what our society is like today. And so I mean, it's very jarring, but also very, I don't want to say thought-provoking, but it's causing a lot of emotion and thoughts in my head. Yeah. We're just gonna leave it at that. The 3.25 whatever books that I've read in October. I think I also mentioned that I was going to read Game of Thrones in October and I was gonna buddy read it with a friend. We're gonna probably have to push it off until the beginning of 2019, so don't expect me to get through Game of Thrones anytime soon. So now let's go on over to November. So in November, not only am I gonna read a couple of books, but I've also started another show. It's called Medici, Masters of Florence. And if you don't know this about me already, I am garbage for Renaissance things, and I really enjoy the Medici family. I just think they're fascinating. I know a lot of people think that they're these ruthless, terrible people, and in a way they are. But when you find out a little bit more about their historical background and their just overall their history and kind of how they got to where they are and why they are the way they are, it puts it into a new light. I actually got into a debate with one of my very dear history professors from undergrad, my senior year, because my mind had been changed from the time I was a freshman to the time I was a senior, because I had learned more about the Medici family and I had gone to Florence and immersed myself into Florentine history and culture and art and architecture and just the city. I literally lived the city, if that makes sense. On top of that, I'm going to do that. But then I've also got an exam to take in the middle of November, and that's consuming a lot of my mind. So reading will be a thing, but it'll probably be a little bit more sporadic. We'll see how much of the things that I am planning on reading I can get through. But let's just launch into kind of what I'm planning on reading. The books I'm planning on reading in November are, I'd like to finish the Animorphs series by K.A. Applegate. I think I can get through a large chunk of it, if not all of it. We'll see what happens. I'd like to finish Handmaid's Tale if I possibly can, because I know that that book is just a lot to handle. I'd like to finish by the end of November at the latest, if possible. Then I want to read Good Omens by Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett, because I've just heard nothing but phenomenal things about that book. I've heard it's light, it's funny. Then there's that mini series or that TV show that's coming out about it, and I just am getting more and more excited to get to it. And then this one book that my grandma actually ended up reading in October, and she's just highly recommending I read it, and it just sounds so fun and funny and unique and just cute. And it's called, it's part of a larger series, but it's called An Irish Country Doctor. And it takes place in Northern Ireland in the county of Armagh. And basically what it is this young man goes to Armagh to study under and become an apprentice of this crotchety old doctor, and he just learns to deal with Irish country life and all of the crazy things that come along with it. And I'm actually, part of my familial background is from Armagh, and so I just think it can be really fun to read about, and I'm just super excited to get to it, especially if it's a light, funny, just contemporary read. And it actually kind of sounds like a bit of a Hallmark kind of movie, and it just sounds like my kind of thing for what I need right now. And speaking of Hallmark, the Christmas movies are starting, and so I will definitely be watching some of those too, because I am literal garbage for Hallmark around the holidays. But anyway, that's, I think, all I've got planned for November. We'll see how much I can get through because November is going to be a bit of a weird month. But I'm hoping I can get through some stuff. So yeah, that's about all I've got for you today. Feel free to like, subscribe, comment. Let me know if you've read any of these books down below. And follow me on social media. I have a Twitter and a Goodreads, which are, as always, linked below down in the description. And I have other social media sites upon request if you'd like. And of course, I will come back with another video for you guys again soon. Okay, bye!